Also, Brian Moran, along with his brother Jim Moran, former congressman, lifetime Boston Red Sox fans. Let's see. Right now, the Red Sox are 17 games out of first place. They're 10 games out of the wild card. And looks like they've gone from champs to chumps. Brian Moran, great to have you with us.
I thought we weren't going to be talking gibberish or nonsense, so why are we talking baseball and the Astros?
Oh, that's not gibberish and nonsense. That's what really matters. I mean, that's top of the news. Astros in first place by 10 games, likely to have the best record in the major leagues and get home field advantage. Meantime, the Red Sox can't win a game. 17 games out. That's like a cellar dweller. That's embarrassing.
You can't win every year, John. Patriots, the Red Sox last year, and then the Bruins went all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. The Celtics were disappointing this year, but we just can't win every year. I mean, we got to spread the wealth. So, but I will tell you that I woke up this morning early to be ready for your show. Up at 6, getting my coffee, getting my son is playing football, and so he has practice. So I got up to make him the French toast, and of course the first thing I do even is go to the box score. How do the Red Sox make out in the morning? And I can't. And it's like, can't I stop? Can I have to do that every morning and be disappointed? I mean, they lost in a walk-off last night to the Indians, and so yeah, it's been a tough year. But they didn't reload. Now you watch what Belichick does with the Patriots. Every year that roster gets turned. I mean, he lets guys go that are peaking, but near the end of their career, lets them go, and reloads every year. And he's done it again this year. And the Red Sox kept the entire roster, but let go 2 of their closers. So last night you had Walden pitching in the 9th and gives up the walk-off homer. I mean, who the hell is Walden? So anyway, I'm not on to talk about baseball, but
no, I mean, look, I mean, but. So, That was after the Red Sox came back. I was watching the game here at the bar because I'm in Manchester. Obviously, they have the Red Sox game on NESN.
Nicer than New England, upstate New England, and
it's beautiful here. I mean, it's just beautiful weather. But you come back in the 9th inning. You tie the game right against Cleveland's vault. They got one of the best bullpens in the major league. You tie the game, and then you go on the bottom of the 9th to lose. So.
I think that's. J.D. Martinez, Devers is having a career year. He's having a huge year, and of course you got the Betts, you got Benintendi, you have the Bogarts, you got a lineup. The offense, they give you 5-6 runs a day. You should be able to win with 5 or 6 runs every time you're out on the field, and that's it's pitching. And hey, Astros did that when they picked up Verlander last year. They knew they'd have to have 2 years ago. Now they needed that. You got to have pitching.
Well, right, we picked up Verlander, and then we picked up Zach Greinke. So now the Astros have arguably probably the best pitching rotation since I'm going to say it was the 1971 Baltimore Orioles, where they had 420-game winners, I think.
There's McNally, Cuellar, Palmer,
Martinez.
They had a hell of a rotation, and probably why the Astros will beat the Yankees. As strong as the Yankees are in that tremendous lineup, ultimately it comes to Verlander's on. The pitching will be good hitting.
Every time. All right, Mr. Secretary, we're with Secretary Brian Moran. He's the Secretary of Homeland Security for Virginia, and he's worked there through 2 administrations. So, and if a Republican were to win in 2021, which is unlikely, and if he wanted to keep the job, he's likely to keep it again because he's very well respected in Richmond in doing his job in a nonpartisan way and coordinating with the various agencies in order to keep Virginians safe. I want to get to the Republicans' new initiative.
Go ahead. It is a great job.
Go ahead, Brian.
The people I get to work with, my office, the agencies, Virginians, the taxpayers of Virginians really should be proud. State police, Colonel Settle was out all weekend out in Charlottesville monitoring the events. Everything went smoothly. Lots of troopers were available, but never, they weren't mobilized. And then today, I'm heading over to the ABC. We're having a big announcement there this morning. CEO Travis Hill and all the wonderful ABC employees, our retail and wholesale business, big announcement this morning. Then later this morning, I'll be heading over to one of our correctional facilities to determine how they are handling the heat for both our correctional officers and our inmates. And then this afternoon, I'll probably be over at the emergency management office to monitor the storms we're anticipating. So, yeah, all of these agencies, it really has been the thrill of a lifetime and an honor to work. We have a lot of very engaged, committed state employees. So just wanted to throw that out there. I really do. They deserve respect from, and they get it. I mean, Virginians are very appreciative of our law enforcement, public safety, first responder communities.
All right, so, Brian, let me just ask you this, Mr. Secretary. Let me just ask you this question about Epstein, right? I mean, you just said you're going to visit the one of the correctional institutes and talk about heat. How did Epstein die when an order is put out to have him a suicide watch in a correctional facility, which is...
Wasn't he? I mean, geez, Epstein, what a mess, but I hope they get to the bottom of that. But, I think he was just taken off. He had been on suicide watch, and then they just took him off July 31st, I thought was one of the reports I read. But, they're waiting on the autopsy. I don't know how that happens. They should be checking on him. Suicide watch, they check, I think, every 30 minutes. But, I think what's coming to light is some irregularities, and we're just going to have to monitor that very closely. I mean, we're not, but the DOJ and the AG and the Inspector General, I think there's a lot of eyes. There are a lot of eyes on that case right now.
Was it just incompetence?
Well, I don't. Which would you prefer, incompetence or conspiracy? I don't know, John. I'm just monitoring that case just like you are. I'm reading the news reports.
Hey, I got two texts here. One from Amy in Fairfax. She says, hey, tell Brian Moran even the Nats are doing better than the Red Sox.
I'm not.
George.
When I was living in Alexandria, I had become a Nats fan, but now I live down here in Chesterfield, and we don't cover the Nats as closely. But as I used to go to a lot of the games. Go Nats! Go Nats!
Georgia Newport News says, tell Brian Moran, how about those Nationals? As far as the Red Sox are concerned, they went first to worst. So all the comments you're getting are about
they're not going to be
baseball.
worse. I think the Orioles are going to bring up the rear.
Yeah, well, they're pretty bad. All right, let's get. I want to get to.
Let's get into some of the subjects here.
There's a group.
I just want to get a chance to talk about the Patriots when they start winning. Okay, so I get a little bit of redemption here. And so anyway, go ahead. Let's talk about the
I had to put up with your abuse last year. In fact, I banned you from my show for the first 7 months just so I didn't have to deal with the Red Sox. No fault of your own.
Had me on during the fall. Why might that be?
Because I'm sick of the Patriots too, but I will have you on this fall.
Everybody is.
All right, I want to get to gun legislation.
Yes.
There's a Republican revolt in the House of Delegates, all right? I've got now 3 Republicans who have broke with VCDL, broke with the chokehold of the NRA, broke with their caucus, Todd Gilbert, and basically have come out in favor of eliminating the background check loopholes and strengthening red flag laws. And this is led by House of Delegates member in Virginia, Jason Miyares at Virginia Beach, backed by Glenn Davis, and caucus chairman Tim Hugo in Northern Virginia. I'm predicting these are 3 Republicans who have come out. They've had the gonads to come out and against the VCDL and the other gun lobbies and say this is the right thing to do. I'm predicting there's going to be another 15 or 20 incumbents and candidates that back Miyares' bill. Is that going to be effective? Would that work? What say Secretary Moran?
Well, let's step back. Okay, so as your Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, I try to measure threats and address those threats and try to secure the Commonwealth. And the threats are, are they from hurricanes? Are they from ISIS, counter-terror? Are they terrorist threats? Well, let's look at the deaths and loss. Drugs, number one. Over 1,500 lives are lost each year through drugs. Majority of those are opioids, fentanyl. And then you have gun deaths, over 1,000 gun deaths per year. And then you have traffic fatalities, less than 1,000, but still a stubborn number. We're trying to bring that number down. And we've had some success. And I'll tell you, with drugs and traffic fatalities, we have been able to approach those issues in a very bipartisan manner. I mean, I will tell you, on drugs, some of the best champions are Republicans. Some from Southwest Virginia, where the opioid epidemic has just been, a real crisis. And so we've been able to work with them across agencies, localities, state, federal, and with our Republican members of the legislature. But when it comes to guns, it's politicized, John. We're not looking at, hey, how do we reduce the 1,058 deaths we've had? How do we address the number of suicides, over 600 suicides by gun? How do we address the homicides? How do we address the accidental deaths? And we get nothing. I mean, there's no traction. There's not even conversations. And as you rightly described it, that there's a stranglehold. And it's been very frustrating for us as an administration, because we'd like some bipartisan cooperation on these issues. It's almost 3 Virginians per day. Obviously, the mass shooting in Virginia Beach was horrible. It brought to light, gun deaths, and a mass shooting of that kind really brings a lot of public attention and media attention to it. And so the governor called a special session and said, let's focus on guns. Here are 8 proposals: background checks, red flag laws, 1 gun a month. Here are my ideas. So what are yours? And as much as people thought the special session was a failure, I didn't think it was at all, frankly. I mean, they didn't get passed, but I know that there was a tremendous amount of attention paid to it, which it deserves. It requires. We traveled around the state, went down to Abingdon, heard from the good people in Southwest Virginia. They were opposed to our proposals, the vast majority of them. We went to Hampton, we went to Richmond, Northern Virginia, very supportive. A lot of good ideas, but ultimately it brought a lot of attention to and it generated interest. And then we came to Richmond, and a big crowd, huge crowd, showed up. And then they punted, but it brought a lot of attention. And so as with an election year, people are engaged, the voting public is engaged, and I think that's because, what we did with the special session, people need to understand what we were trying to propose, too. I mean, it is an educational opportunity. Lots of folks think we already have background checks. They can't believe you can go out and buy a high-capacity gun on a private sale without a background check being done on you. Lots of folks don't know that we're even an open carry state. We get calls, lots of alerts that, hey, people call, there's a gun in the park, there's a gun in the Walmart. Well, we're an open carry state. You can have a gun in the open. So I think there was an educational component of the special session that I think was very beneficial, and now you've seen some. I'm very pleased to hear that the Republican delegates are making a move. It's time. It's past time, and
everybody's fear is this. I happen to absolutely agree with Jason Miyares' initiative to get legislation that would, 1, close the background checks, which make no sense. If you're going to have background checks, don't have loopholes, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So that's indefensible. It always has been. And he also wants to tighten up the red flag laws, but also wants
we
due
don't have
process.
Any red flag laws now. When he says tighten out, I'm going to have to look at the details. But I think the red flag law is really the, I think it's probably the most important. I don't like to rank any of the proposals, but in terms of addressing an immediate threat, and politically, the Republicans have cover. Indiana has it. Florida, with a Republican Governor Scott and a Republican legislature. The president and his school safety commission came out in favor of red flag laws. So, I mean, it's a temporary deprivation of the Second Amendment right of confiscating a firearm, but 14 days, and then it goes before a circuit court judge for a hearing. So there is due process. It's a temporary deprivation, and it addresses not only the homicidal maniac, but also the suicide situation where you have a family or household
people that
member
could be doing harm to themselves.
Yeah, there's a real harm.
Yeah,
to
look,
this,
I mean, it's 14 days.
Really could harm themselves. Yeah.
Trump has backed it. The president came out in favor of it yesterday. Mike DeWine, one of the most conservative governors in America, in Ohio, he came out for it yesterday. I'm in favor of it. Look, the only thing standing between it is two things.
I can't believe the Virginia Republicans are going to get in line. That's
well, we're getting them. I mean, I've got.
You're a very popular radio show host. I think that's significant, John, and we very much. If you need any other information about that red flag law, I'd be happy to provide it. George Barker,
look, it's a matter.
Has been carrying it for a couple of years. Rip Sullivan in the House has been carrying it, and we've made modifications to it based on Republican objections. They said, "Oh, there's no due process," so we make sure there's a magistrate involved initially, then there's a circuit court judge in 14 days.
Right.
They've made all these objections. We've attempted to respond to their objections, yet they still say no. So
it's because of the chokehold that the gun lobby has. Both the National Rifle Association and the local gun lobbies in these states, like the VCDL, the chokehold they have over Republicans and the fear of being primaried or retribution or something else. But it's time to look at this seriously. Miyares has got the right bill. It's a Republican bill. If we can, and he has also called on the speaker to call a one-day special session on a Sunday or a Saturday, one day, because everybody's got to work, one day, and let's get this passed. Let's do it cleanly. Let's not attach 18 crazy things from Mark Levine from Northern Virginia about taking away your guns. Let's get all that out. Let's pass what makes sense, and then maybe we can save some lives. This is the absolute right thing to do. And what Republicans have to do is stand up to the local and national gun lobby that have no interest in doing this because they're funded, right, in order to oppose everything. This is common sense gun legislation that the president has backed, and I'll go with President Trump's instincts. They've not served them wrong politically since he's got in this thing. I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to back the president on it. And I think Miyares has got 3 Republicans now. Hugo Davis, along with himself. By the end of the next 2 weeks, I guarantee there's going to be 15 Republicans on the House side backing this bill, some incumbents and some candidates. Secretary Moran, I got to go. Sometimes when you have it's the right thing to do, everybody's got to get behind it. We got to take the politics out, and we got to do the right thing, and that's what the president is attempting to do, and that's what Jason Miyares is attempting to do. And it's take guts, all right, to stand up to your base and say, hey, sometimes you just got to do the right thing and tell the VCDL no. I don't know why people are afraid of these lobbies, but you should be more concerned about safety and suburban moms. Mr. Secretary, when suburban moms are going out...
I could not have said that better myself, so congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a one-man gang
said.
here trying to get this done. Mr. Secretary, thanks for sharing your perspective. Thanks for being with us. John Fredericks Radio Network.